I'll start now. So let's go ahead and center ourselves and allow yourself to drop into the hour that you have. So it's not even just dropping in to the body. Of course, we'll do that, but drop into the space of your yoga practice, the time space of your yoga practice. See if you can let go of all the to-do list and the things that are going to come later, or the things that you're still processing from what you just did, and be here now. So start the being present with the breath. You might notice that the first few breaths of your practice, might be a little choppy, might be a little tight, might be a little different than what it ends up being as you settle into your practice. So just start where you are. Feed yourself prana. Know that you are inviting in energy that you need for this deep sense of well-being. So allow yourself to receive as you breathe, to receive what you need. Melt through your eyes, soften through your jaw, all the ways you express in your face. See if you can let all of it go, become the blank slate, the ease through your skull. And let that energy kind of drop a little lower in your body. Feeling your shoulders descend just a bit. We're not slumping, we're not collapsing. We're having the sense that the shoulders can be easy. The arms can feel like they can dangle just a little bit. The shoulder blades slide down. And as the shoulder blades slide down and the chest broadens, this is a natural tendency instead of a push. Instead of feeling like you need to push your chest forward or up, see if you can just melt. Travel down, feel your diaphragm, feel the spaciousness that you're giving to the breath. Travel all the way to the pelvis and the pelvic floor. A deep sense of roots, grounding. And try to relax your legs if you have gripping or tensing in your hip flexors. Settle into a position where your legs can really let go. Now that we've kind of waterfall down the body, rise up through the body from the pelvis. Feel the energy rise up through the center channels so that you have that prana flowing in both directions, upward and downward, outward and inward. All right, let's place the hands together at the heart. Feel the centering. Dip into that centered place and offer a clear intention. Let's relax the hands and come onto your back. All right, so as we find our way, notice, when you come horizontal, it's such a different feeling than vertical. So enjoy the subtleties of the ways we wake up the body. Gentleness. So reach your arms overhead and have a morning stretch. Maybe your breath wants to hold, maybe you feel like yawning, maybe none of that happens, whatever feels good. And then start to move your sides. So we're stretching through one side, stretching through the other side, just opening up through the body. And have a moment to cactus your arms on the ground, and let's just kind of take stock of what the openness naturally of our shoulders is. So when you cactus the arms and you have both posts bent at the elbow, do your hands rest on the ground or no? So for many of us, the backs of the hands don't rest well in this pose, which is a tightness in some of the rotator cuff muscles, the muscle under your shoulder blade. So see if you can melt underneath your shoulder blade right now. So feel the space, the gap, not the gap, but the space between your ribs and your shoulder blade, that little hidden pocket in there, and see if you can melt right there. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. All right, let's stretch the arms overhead again, reaching to the sides. And bring the knees into the chest and hold on. Rock a bit, swaying from side to side, enjoy. So every posture, see if you can just, when you get there, enjoy something. You know, what is the gift that every moment in your practice offers? Let's circle the knees, kind of roll them in one direction. Roll them in another direction. And then let's open the knees up away from each other and bring the knees back toward each other. Just finding that sense of expansion and bringing them back in. Check in with your hip joints. How are things feeling this morning? All right, right knee into the chest, left leg comes long on the floor. Enjoy a good squeeze of knee and hip and begin to move your feet. You can flex and point your toes or roll around in your ankles, just anything that's going to wake up these precious feet. And then switch sides. Left knee gives a good compression in, feel the hip and the knee, and also feel the openness of the right leg as you stretch it out on the ground. Lengthen your crown to your tail and move your feet around here. Imagine that you have lots of eyes on the bottom of your feet and you're just waking up and looking around. All right, bring that other knee back in, rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Then we're going to roll right over onto our right side, and you can always support underneath your head with a block if you feel like you need to have a little something under your head. Palms are touching, knees are bent, so you're at 90-degree angles at your hips and knees. Take a deep breath in. We're going to open up the book. So open your arms away from each other and then exhale and bring them back toward each other. A couple more times. Inhale, open up into a thoracic twist, and then exhale and bring the hands back to touch. One more time. Open up into that moving twist. Exhale and relax back. Now we're going to come all the way over to the other side. So coming on to our left, knees are bent, hips are at 90 degrees. You can support your head if you need to, palms together. Inhale, open up. Maybe your arm touches the floor, maybe it doesn't, just go where your body goes. Exhale, bring the hands back to touch. Twice more. Opening up on the in-breath, and then closing up on the out-breath. Come back to being on your back. Okay, stretch your limbs wide open. Take a deep breath, wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then as you exhale, knees and chest come in. One more time. Open wide. Exhale. Close it on up. All right, let's roll over onto our side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So as we find our way into some cat-cows. Take your time. So feel where your hands and your knees are, and make sure you're okay in your joints, and then start to move the spine. So arching and rounding the back, taking your time, noticing your vertebrae. And then, of course, move any which way you want. So try to just let your body do the talking. So you do not have to have an agenda of I must do this and I must do that. Just let your body move around in freedom. So as you do, let's really revel in all the range of motion that you have available to you. So much, right? There's so much capacity in our shoulders, our neck, our spine, our pelvis. There's so much movement that's available. Even if you feel like you have limited range of motion, enjoy what you do have. Enjoy the range of motion that is available to you. All right, let's curl the toes under for a moment and stretch back toward a child's pose. You won't get very far probably with your feet curled under, but just open up the bottom of your feet. And then come back up onto all fours, relax your feet, and come back to a more full child's pose. Hips down, walk the fingers far forward. So feel the stretch through your shoulders and your rib cage. Open up those areas, relax your neck. Inch over to one side of your mat so the ribs are open. Feel the sit bones drop down, relax your neck. Full breaths here. Enjoy the space for breathing. And then come back over to the other side and enjoy the space for breathing on this side. All right, come back to center, up onto your hands and knees, another cat-cow or anything that you want. And then let's find our way into a twist. Lift that arm up to the sky. Exhale and slide it under and just enjoy how much mobility your thoracic spine has. Let the neck be soft and relaxed. Adjust your hips to be in a happy place for your back. So you don't have to go this deep. You can go less deep, whatever's feeling good. We're going to come out of the pose a bit, back to child's pose. Chest is toward the floor, arm is still underneath us. Feel the back side of the shoulder stretch. And then inhale and reach that arm up to the sky. Place the hand down, second side. Lift your arm up, bring it through. So much happens in our thoracic spine. We're going to be working with the thoracic spine a bit today. So so much happens. It's the center of our breathing, but it's also the center of a lot of our movements and a lot of our presence in the world. When we slump, that's a certain type of presence. When we have a chest open feeling, that's another type of presence. So much range of motion happens through the thorax, not only for beautiful breathing, but all the ways we move, the twisting, the side bending, the forward and back bending, all of our ranges that we have available to us. A lot of it involves the thoracic spine. Inhale, and then as you exhale, child's pose, arms underneath you still, stretch the back side of the shoulder. So we're opening the collarbones, chest is toward the floor. And then inhale and reach that arm up. Hand comes down onto the ground. Find your way to dog pose, lift up, enjoy your legs. Okay, so pedal your feet, start to feel some zing up the back of your legs as we warm up our muscles. So you can pedal your feet, bending one knee and then the other. Perhaps you'd rather be still. So whatever feels really good for you. Okay, so just find your way. Enjoy exploring your dog pose. Maybe you want to move your hands or move your feet or change weight patterns in the body of where you're bearing weight. Just explore your posture, explore your breath and your body. And find a little bit more stillness. Maybe your knees are bent a lot. Hug the hands toward each other and root them into the earth, all four corners of your palms. Relax your neck. Find your breath. And then walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Relax your neck. Deep breaths. Find your way to a halfway lift. Thigh bones root back, root feet rise up through hips. Find the sense of that movement of energy in two different directions that we did in our spine earlier. Now find it in your legs. So we're rooting down and rising up. Staying in your half lift. And then exhale and melt. Drop your hips, lift your chest, come rising on up. Open the chest, lean back a little bit, just feel into the body. Now cactus the arms and hold this for a moment. Feel your shoulder blades. Drop them down and toward each other, chest is broad, and then relax your arms down. Shake out your hands, just get them to release any bit of tension that you have, kind of just whatever, flick them a little bit. That's the word I'm looking for. Flicking your hands, just get some energy to release. Okay. Then take a deep breath in, open up again, lean back just a bit. So we're not in this giant back bend, but we're opening the chest. Cactus, open the arms, feel the back body, and then relax and melt to come forward again. Relax your head, bend your knees, soft pose. Halfway lift, spine is growing. And exhale, and melt and fold. Okay, let's step the left foot back. Right foot is coming forward. So we're finding a lunge. Enjoy. So when we open up different parts of the body, and maybe this is the first bit of movement you've had today, maybe you haven't gone for a walk or done much yet. So whatever you're feeling, enjoy. There's something to enjoy in every posture, even if it's a pose that's difficult for you. So let's straighten and bend the front knee while we're breathing. Start to feel that the breath is the pathway of your practice, that really we're just living inside the path of our breath. Enjoy the sensations you're feeling. Enjoy becoming embodied. All right, let's ground ourselves into a lunge and rise on up. So find your way into a crescent lunge. You can bring your arms up or out, or a cactus, or a big open heart, whatever feels really good to you. You can even interlace your hands behind your back and open your chest. Just find the process that's right for this moment. So drop your feet, ground yourself, open the chest. Be very mindful to not compress into the lumbar spine. We're supporting that upward energy. And then release the hands down to the ground. Back foot comes forward, fold in half, relax your neck. Halfway lift, I have my hands on blocks. You can do whatever you want. Then exhale and fold again, relax your neck. Step your right foot back. Left foot is forward in a lunge. So just enjoy opening your legs up. Breathe here. And as you're ready, you can start to move, straightening and bending the front knee. Enjoy every little subtle sensation that your body is sharing with you, with your mind. Okay, so when we feel, it's the mind living inside the body instead of just up in the head. So let's enjoy this connection. Feel yourself ground. Feel the lunge. When you feel steady, rise up. Same thing. So remember, you can be anywhere you want in this posture. Your arms can be down. Your arms can be cactus. Any movement that feels like it's supporting the presence of ground. So your ability to root, but also your ability to rise. So feel those energies moving in multiple directions. And it doesn't even have to end in the downward and upward. Feel that with your breath, you can expand it outward. You can condense inward. Anything that serves. Open the body up. All right, and place the hands down onto the ground, back to dog pose. Stretch and lengthen through the body. Enjoy the openness of your hamstrings, your calves, your Achilles. And then come forward into a plank. Move your shoulders away from the ears. Feel that sense of integration, of holding yourself steady. You can condense everything toward the center line of the body. Find your way all the way down to the ground, a few shoulder rolls so that you know that you're free, and then lift up to a cobra pose. Exhale and come back down. Come to a sphinx. So forearms are a little bit forward, elbows are under your shoulders, and hang out here for a moment. Reach your legs, keep the neck long. Notice if there's any compression and sinking in your low back. Support with your core. Breathing well. All right, relax and come back down. Come up onto all fours. Move the spine about. Okay. And then as you're ready, relax back towards child's pose. Okay, let the back ease after the back bend. We're going to come onto our forearms and lift up into dolphin pose. Now, I know I said the practice is going to be gentle today, and it is. But, feel into the work that's here. Heart lifting toward the pelvis. Feel the shoulder blades. Feel the work of those muscles. Light everything up. And then we're going to walk our feet back and come into a forearm plank. And feel that integration of the core of the body. You can always put your knees down if your shoulders are unhappy. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Okay, lower your whole body down to the ground. Scoot a bit over to the right side of your mat. Bring your left knee up high toward your armpit. So you might want to move the blocks out of the way if they're there. Just enjoy the openness in your hip. We're going to open the chest. So cross the right arm to the left side of the mat and open up the chest for a twist. So see if you can let the knee leave the ground enough where you can get the back of your left hand to come onto the ground, hopefully. And if you don't go there, that's okay. Just feel the chest open, the stretch across your pecs. Breathe here. And then bring that arm rolling on back. Bring your leg down. Scoot over to the left side of your mat. And bring your right knee up high toward your armpits. Okay. So you might want to just enjoy this for a moment. And then as you're ready, cross the left arm over to the left side of the mat. Wait, to the right side of the mat. Sorry, left arm to right. And then open up to a twist. So this twist doesn't have to be so extreme. So don't think you have to keep your knee down and your hand on the floor. Let your knee leave the ground, so that you open up toward the ceiling a little bit more. You want to have a nice, beautiful stretch through your chest, your pectoralis muscles, but not overtax the spine. So if you feel the twist getting a little bit away from you, pick up your right leg and change its pace or change its place so that your back comes at ease. And then come back around again. Come up onto all fours. Move your spine about, wag your tail, anything that serves. Up to dog pose you go. Okay, start to feel the body open instead of the body closed. Take your feet wide on the mat so your toes touch the edge of your mat, and just enjoy a slightly different dog pose. All right, then walk your feet forward and find your way up to stand. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to the side of our mat and take our body wide open. Okay, so we're going to bring your hands on your knees for a moment and just kind of rock back and forth. Okay, so just you can lean forward just a little bit, just kind of getting used to the legs staying low. And then start to move into some goddess pose. So our torso is lifting upright, and you can kind of do what I'm doing, where you're rising up a little bit and then dropping down a little bit. Just feel your legs start to feel that they can weight bear. Find your breath. Play around with where your feet and your knees are, so you want them in the same line. Then hang out down here for a moment. You can bring your arms anywhere you want. Ground through the four corners of your feet. Turn your toes, kind of drag them back toward the back edge of your mat. Heels move forward. Lift your chest. And then straighten up your legs. We're going to come into triangle pose. Turn your right foot out. Your left foot can be straight or turned in. And find your way into a triangle pose. I have my hand on the block. Maybe you want your hand on your leg, but whatever you're doing, you're light. We're not leaning all of our body weight down. Let's enjoy. So opening up that inner hamstring, the inner thigh of your right leg. Tip the pelvis to the right and let the femur bone lift up into the pelvis. And then see what it feels like to open your chest. Feel that thoracic space broaden and open. Root into the back heel. And come on up. Reaching to a reverse triangle pose, opening up the ribs on the other side now. And then Parsva Konasana, elbow on your knee, adjust your feet to whatever place you need. If your arm can stretch overhead, great. And if that's not available to you, you can always put your hand on your hip or your hand straight out. So find the pathway that's working. Ground through both feet evenly. Feel the work of your legs. Enjoy giving them something to do. So your legs really do like to work. Feel that your blood is moving into your muscles and your legs. Can you feel your thoracic spine open here? The rib cage expand. Come on up. We're going to do the same poses on the other side. So turn your feet to the left, starting out in triangle pose. So let your pelvis tip. We're not trying to keep the hips parallel. We're letting them turn to one side, tipping to the left. Hand on block or leg light. Root into your feet. Let the back heel find its weight. Stay grounded through the front big toe, even though the heel wants to take most of the weight. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Feel your torso turn. Maybe your head turns too. Maybe your head does not turn. Maybe you turn your head and look down. So whatever's going to help your neck find ease. Big, huge breaths here. Is your practice giving you a sense of well-being? Are you contributing to that joy and health in the body-mind? Reverse your warrior. Feel that stretch and openness through the side of your body. And then find your way into Parsva Konasana. So the legs are wide and grounded. This is not an easy pose. So feel that you are capable, that your legs can support you. Feel the front foot, maybe you want to spin that jar a little bit. Toes turning left, heel turning right. Nothing's actually moving. It's just an isometric grip on your mat. You have full weight in the back foot. Do you notice that you're kind of arched over on one side? Can you lengthen both sides of your rib cage? Is your neck at ease? Can you relax your palms? You have a balance of striving and relaxation, living together. Let's go ahead and find our way out of the posture. Turn your feet straight. Blocks are nice if you want them. You don't have to have them, but if you want your hands on blocks, you can put your hands on blocks. Otherwise, you can put your hands on the ground. Wide-legged pose. Relax your neck. Okay, put your hands on the floor or on a block right underneath your chest. So right hand right underneath your chest, left arm lifting to the sky. Pay attention to the pelvis. Try to keep your pelvis even. Let the twist happen in your thoracic spine. So you'll meet an end point where your body's like, yep, that's the end of my range. And just live there. Try not to go, pushing yourself. Try to create space where you are. And then relax. Change sides. Square up the hips. Turn the thoracic spine and rib cage. Once you get to the place where you're like, that's where my body stops, breathe and find space there. Relax those hands down. Heel toe your feet in a little bit more. Okay, and then come to a closer, now we're squatting instead of goddess pose. Okay, open up the inner thighs, drop your sit bones, extend your spine. Four corners of your feet grounding. Come all the way back up, rising to the top, standing star. Heel toe your feet in and come to Tadasana. Okay, finding breath. So place your hands behind your head. Okay, so try to have a long neck here. We're really spacious and free. Open the elbows instead of bringing them toward each other. See what it feels to open them up. Find the breath. And then we're going to tip over to one side, just where your body says go. You can take your feet a little wider apart if you want. Back up. Change the cross of your fingers. And go over to the other side. Let the head rest against the hands. Elbows are open. Use your core to stabilize you. And come back up. All right, now bring your block to your, in between your hands. Okay. And we're going to bring our elbows right in front of us. So we're in line with the shoulders. Palms are hugging the block with our fingertips pointing to the sky. A gentle hug there. Start to reach up a little bit more, lifting the elbows a little higher, only to the place where you go. Keep the neck as relaxed and soft as you can. Bring that block back down and fold all the way to the floor. Relax your neck, bobble it around. Grab onto it if you want and have a little tug. Whatever's going to help you find ease. Okay, let's come down to the ground. Grab your block, put it between your hands, palms facing the block. So our elbows and our shoulders and our wrists are finding their way into alignment. And then we're going to lift up to dolphin pose. Again, this will be, the last of the hard work. We're going to do some other back bending stuff in a moment that's a little bit more gentle. So feel the heart lift toward the pelvis. Feel the stability of your arms. So you're dropping the weight of your pinky side of your arm into the ground. Neck is soft. And then relax and come down in child's pose. Soften the neck. And we're going to do this one lift, one leg up at a time if you want. If Pincha Mayurasana, elbow balance, forearm balance rather, is in your practice, then by all means, go ahead and you can do it against a wall if you want, but you can find your way into Pincha Mayurasana. Otherwise, we're going to repeat this with one leg up instead of both legs up. Okay, so find your way back into dolphin pose. Hold the block, hug it a little bit, feel the stability, lift your shoulders, relax your neck, left leg lifting in the air like a three-legged dog. Breathing deeply. Stretch that leg in the air. And then put that foot down and change sides. Square hips, inner thigh lifting to the sky. Extend. Keep lifting your shoulders away from the ears. And then relax. Child's pose. Take your arms down at your sides. Just relax We can rock a little bit. Breathing deeply. All right, come up to sit. Okay, so we're going to take a blanket and stick it underneath our left sit bone. And you're going to take your feet off to the right. So your right sit bone is not on the blanket, just your left sit bone. So rest the top of your right ankle in the arch of your left foot. So you feel that when you drop your left sit bone, or sorry, right sit bone down, you have balance across your pelvis. Okay. Come into a twist. Reach one arm up, the other hand is behind you to support. Bring your hand to the outside of the knee and twist. The chest is broad. Now notice if you want to push your body forward. See if you can sink a little bit through that right sit bone. And come back to center. Now we're going to move the blanket over to the other side. So switching sides. The blanket's now underneath our right sit bone. Our feet are off to the left. Top of left foot resting in arch of right. Right hand's behind you. Left arm comes up in the air. Drop weight into your left sit bone that's hanging in that pocket. Bring your left arm to the outside of your right knee and twist to this side. Shoulders stay soft. You can turn your head all the way, or you can turn your head back and look over your knees, or try both. Collarbones stay broad. Try to root the hip down. Try not to push your body forward and arch your back. Relax and come back to center. Let's sit on our mat or on our blanket, cross-legged. All right, so just enjoy. So come here, open the chest. We're gonna do a simple cross-legged twist. And if this twist is not comfortable, if you can't sit cross-legged comfortably, you can take one leg straight and bend the other. Okay. All right, take your left hand behind you, right arm up in the air. Bring your hand to the outside of the knee and twist. All right, so drop the shoulders, keep the neck free and loose. Move your breath through your rib cage. Enjoy the mobility of your thorax. Okay, come back to center. Switch sides. Now our left arm is lifting. Bring it out to the side of your knee. Hold on. As always, when we have leverage on bones, we want to push. So see if you can let the twist be organic, like it's the viscera of your body that's really doing the moving more than just the bones. So let your breath, let your diaphragm move with your breath. Feel that your muscles and your core, your obliques are what's originating the twist along with your breath. Neck is soft, shoulders down. Relax and come back. Bring your knees to your chest, drop your chin. Round your back for a moment. Okay. Grab your blanket. We're going to roll it into, so open it like this, and then we're going to roll it into a roll. Now, if you feel crazy open, you can roll two blankets together, or if you have a very skinny blanket, that doesn't have a much loft, you can roll two blankets. Make your choice. Now you might need another blanket for your head, depending on if you can tolerate, the extension of your spine or not. So we're going to start with this roll in between our shoulder blades. Okay, and then we're going to stretch our arms overhead. So your legs can be wherever you want them to be, as can your arms. So some people like their knees bent, some people like their legs straight. Okay, some people like to start
just literally with your arms straight up, your hands straight up toward the sky, and kind of lifting one arm higher than the other. You can start there and then experiment with where you want your arms to be. Your arms can stretch over your head. Your arms can be out to the sides. You can cactus your arms. You can have your hands folded over your chest with one hand on either shoulder. You can lift your forearms to touch your forehead, grabbing your hands on your elbows, or you can stretch that over your head. So experiment. This is the place for you to find the ease and joy of an open thorax. So it's not just about the shoulders, but about the thoracic spine as well. So let's breathe here. Everything doesn't have to always be your most extreme position. It can be. Maybe that's what feels nice right now, but it doesn't have to be. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure you can relax your head. Make sure your lumbar spine is okay and in a happy place. And we're going to inch that blanket down to the bottom edge of our shoulder blades. So be very mindful that this is not going in your low back. We're still supported by rib cage and bottom tip of shoulder blade. And then same thing, maybe you want to lift one arm higher. Maybe you want to kind of bring your arms over to one side and then the other, a little twisting. Maybe you want your arms overhead. So this is your chance to just play, dance a little bit. Sometimes I like holding, I would cross my elbows one over the other and hold the backside of my shoulders. There's so many different positions you can take with your arms to give different quality to the posture. So find your way. Remember, most extreme is not necessarily better. Feel into the fullness of your breath, the ease of your neck at the base of your skull, the inside of your ears and the back of your head relax. Now, you can get out of this in a couple of different ways. If you can grab onto the blanket with your fingers, you can just lift your hips up and slide the blanket down so it's under your pelvis. But if that's too difficult, roll over onto your side and then move the blanket down your mat so that when you roll back onto it, it's under your pelvis, kind of like a supported bridge. And then decide whether you want both legs straight, one leg straight with one leg bent, and then switch after a couple of breaths, or whether you want to keep your knees bent and feet on the floor. And then once you get your legs where you want them to be, decide where your arms want to be. So just enjoy even though we're no longer opening the thorax, the psoas muscle, which you're stretching here, attaches on T12, so the bottom of your thoracic spine. So try to visualize where that is and breathe there. Now keep the blanket underneath your sacrum and bring your knees to your chest. A little bit of traction for the spine, kind of rounding in a different way to find ease. Breathing well. Relax your shoulders and your neck. Put your feet down, lift your hips up to get that blanket out of there, and roll into a small ball on your side. So in particular, let your rib cage melt. Let your diaphragm melt. All the stretching and opening you just did, let it just rebound into softness. Eventually, we're going to find our way back onto our back. Okay, so you have a choice: reverse pigeon pose or thigh over thigh. You can bring your knees to your chest, thigh over thigh, or you can put your right foot on your left knee and grab onto your left leg and bring that toward your chest. So whichever, we're just stretching our hips here. Just find what's comfortable for your body, and not just your hip, but your knees and your low back and your SI joints. So find what's going to give you the most comfortable stretch. Melt the neck. Let the weight of your head relax into the floor. All right. And then we're going to switch sides. Maybe a star in between. And then left foot on right or left thigh over right thigh. Reverse your pigeon or come into eagle legs and draw your knees toward your chest. The neck is super soft. So if you find that you're kind of lifting your neck up, put some support under your head, go less deep in the pose, find something that's going to give you some neutral territory in your spine. How's your breathing? Melt your body. Let's go ahead and relax. One more time, stretch your body. Open things up. And then we're going to do a simple twist. So feet on the ground. Scoot your hips over to the right, knees up and drop them to the left. Simple twist. Turn your head, let your neck also twist. A lot of times when we do those back bends, we can take some tension in our neck. So let your neck loosen up and be free. And come back to center. Lift your hips and scoot them to the left. Knees come up and drop them right. Turn your head to the left. Full breaths. What can you do to melt your body here? All right, come back up to center and then find your way to Shavasana. If there's anything else your body needs, take it. If you need some support under your knees or some support under your head, or if you, whatever you need, everybody find your favorite way of being in Shavasana. This is such an important pose that it's worth getting right. Okay, so adjust anything you need to so that your body can fully soften into the ground. You want your limbs to feel that they can be heavy and weightless simultaneously. Especially your head. We have so much holding that we do. See if you can unwind the holding and drop. Feel yourself with the purity of breathing, a beautiful inhale and a full exhale. On the exhales, let your body melt. Relax the corners of your eyes. begin to deepen our breath. Give yourself time to transition. Refocus on the feeling of the body. Let your breath feed you. Start to move. You might want big movements or small movements. To do a little knees to chest and rocking, or a little bit of happy baby. Eventually find your way onto your side. Taking your time. Come up to sit as you're ready. Let's place our hands together. Feel into the open heart. Maybe it's a little more normal feeling to have your chest broad and free instead of collapsed. So open your heart to another and share the gift of your practice, your energy. Send your love to someone who needs your care. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Blessings on the day.